that you should know. I've been going solo. Want my love, baby, earn it. Yeah, dancing on my own. See if you can follow. Got me feeling alive. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Free my signs, every time. Let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. I want. Hear me now. I do what I want. Are you ready now? 'Cause it won't be easy. Only get what you work for. Gotta go all out whenever you see me. Don't be wasting my time. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Free my signs, every time. Let's be real, be real.
Okay.
I do what I want. I do what I want. I do what I want. I want. Hear me now. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. My signs, every time. Let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. I do what I want. I do what I want. Turn it all out, tell me every secret. Said that I care, asked do you mean it? Since we've been you desire to be alone, to be the one they're always thinking of. I'm not sorry I couldn't. You desire to be alone. You desire other down. We kept running from the shadows in the night, realizing it was not worth the fight. Moving on the road
serving up hate with a cold vengeance. Fuck, but I hate her, we can't sling them. Yeah, she's got me hooked, I'm down, I ride. Leave her, she's trying to kill me.